973.
Ali Raj on LBC 218. Is the Manchester synagogue attack a wake-up call for Britain? An overdue one, I say. 03456060973, text 84850. Susie in Tower Hamlets, afternoon.
Hi, hello.
What would you like to say, Susie?
I'd just like to say that I think what you've said today is absolutely amazing, and I couldn't put it better myself.
I'm sure you can, Susie. What do you think about what's going on here?
I think it is a wake-up call for everybody. I've lived in the East End all my life, and I'm proud to say that my dad, who was a docker, he was in the Battle of Cable Street, and all the dockers all came out. They all lost a day's pay, and they lined up in Cable Street to stop Mosley marching up Cable Street. And you know, I'm very proud of the fact, and I wonder what he would think of what's happening now, because it should have been cancelled today in respect for the Jewish people, because I've been around Jewish people all my life, growing up in the East End. I still live in the East End, and most of my friends are Jewish, and they, you know, I just think it's so sad, and what happened made me cry, what happened in Manchester. You know, my dad's not alive now, but I'm proud that he was there, and he always supported the Jewish people. And
how worried are you, Susie, about this being an inflection point for the country? Because, I mean, this hasn't happened, right, in this way before, that basically someone of the Muslim faith has gone and killed 2 Jews and wanted to kill a lot more in a synagogue on the holiest day of the year.
I think it's terrible. I think it's a generation thing, and I think, you know, the young people of today are just not seeing what's happening, because where I live now, there's not a lot of Jewish people, but we've got a lot of Muslim people, and we all mix together. There's no, you know, I'm happy to live where I live. You know, I get on with all the Muslim people where I live, and I find this tragic that this is happening. And I think that the people who've gone on the march today should have shown some respect and not had the march today.
I agree with you, Susie. What would your father, if he were here today, what do you think he would say to you and everyone else in terms of where we go from here, Susie?
I think that we should all learn to just get on, you know, and just love each other. We're all different faiths. I'm Roman Catholic. I've got nothing to do with the Jewish religion. But I get on with, where I live is you know, it's mainly Muslim, but I get on with all of them. And, you know, people say to me, how can you live in Bethnal Green? You know, and I say, because this is where I was born, and I love it here. You know, and when I was growing up, there used to be a market called the Jewish Market where I lived. And I used to work on their stall as a child, you know, just because I could weigh up the fruit, and I loved it. And my mum used to light their fires on a Saturday, and we had all Jewish friends. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of Jewish people here now. But, you know, it's terrible what's happened, and I think we should all learn to love each other a bit more.
Are you worried about growing sectarianism in the country, Susie, with, like, we now have Gaza independent MPs in Parliament, you know, which people feel very strongly about the whole Gaza situation, understandably in many cases, and now we see MPs being elected to Parliament on that specific issue, which is a new thing in British politics as well.
Well, I think anyone who thinks about voting for reform, it must be racist. I'm sorry, but they must be.
Well, I disagree with that, and I don't think it helps to say that, because that's what Keir Starmer said, and I think he's going to get a rude awakening, because, one, it's very demeaning to people who do vote reform who wouldn't see themselves as racist at all, and number two, it's patently wrong. And you can add a third one in there. It doesn't get to the crux of any issues at all that we're dealing with. I think a bigger issue to deal with, rather than reform at the moment, with the greatest respect, Susie, which the Prime Minister has missed, and in fact, Charles Moore picks it out today, is not reform. It's actually Islamists, which the Prime Minister doesn't really want to talk about, because he's losing people on the left of his party to the Gaza independence on one hand, to Corbyn and Sultana maybe on the other, and he wants to try and keep those votes intact. And I'm not sure that that's going to be ultimate leadership in the long term. Susie, thank you. Good to speak to you. Mark in Camden, afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ali. Fantastic. Your show is superb. What I'd like to say is that if we want to change the mood of the world, you have to start where you are. It starts from within. And you have to be mindful. You have to be thinking, not just about your own circumstances, but you have to think about people on the other side of the fence. Now, I'm a Jewish guy. I'm not religious. I'm more got leanings towards Buddhism, and I'm a rock drummer. Right?
Oh, nice one. Good for you.
Yeah, but I think there's something about music can connect people. But what more importantly, right? The people who are on the sort of pro-Palestine march is fine. People should be at liberty to say what they think. I don't particularly like the Netanyahu government, nor Smotrich or any of those people, and I detest Hamas. But what I will say is that unless we go back to the middle way in this country, right, unless we stop adopting extremes, because it's a boomerang, right? And what happens if people throw that boomerang, they end up hitting themselves with it, and society will hit itself on the head with it. And so I think, really, if you're saying that you are against the extremities of what's happening in Israel or happening here, there, or anywhere, but then you take an extreme line yourself, right? Don't be surprised when the tiger turns around and bites you.
So, Mark, just on this point, because this is very interesting, do you think we've lost, and I talked about humanity in the last hour, but have we lost the ability to actually, when I was training as a psychotherapist for 2 years, I never qualified, but I did the training, and they used to say to us, if you want to really communicate with people, go into second position, meaning you put yourself in the shoes of the person that you are speaking to. Right? Do you think we've lost that ability to do that? Because at the moment, in any conversation I have on this topic, right, it's very polarized, it's aggressive, it's absolutely downright vitriolic, always unpleasant, and very, very in your face.
Totally. And the reason is that what people tend to do, they feed their pet hate, they feed their obsession, and so they spiral down, but they drink their own poison. And I think, so you're totally right. If I was a Palestinian child or an Israeli child and the rockets are firing over or the bombs are landing or they're stuck between Hamas and Israeli reprisal, right? For rights or wrongs or whatever, that child doesn't know. No child in this world, whether they're Palestinian, Israeli, North Korean, South Korean, should be growing up in this world with the fear of war, right? And until we look on that and say, how do the other side feel? Because that's what the result is. Because Hamas don't care about the other side. They want annihilation. And Netanyahu only cares about his own...
But you see, Mark, what you're saying, I understand completely. The danger is that those very mentalities and that mindset is coming into the British body politic, the British society, right? That's what concerns me. I live here. I live in this country, right? I care about Jews being killed in a synagogue on a Thursday. I really, genuinely, it puts a fear of God into me, this thing, right? That these divisions are pervading our society now. They've been festering for years, and they've come to the fore now. And by the way, when people say this didn't start on October the 7th, 2023, the division here and the anti-Semitism as well has also not started on the 7th of October 2020. I can tell you that. Mark, very good to speak to you. I need to move on to Steve. Steve in Liverpool. Good